A very good evening. Welcome to the State of Scottish Football. It's Thursday evening. The Thursday Club is back. No Regan Stevenson, but Greg Playfair is just as good a replacement as Regan Stevenson is. Greg, I'll give you the perfect introduction, but how are you this fine Thursday evening?
Oh, thank you very much for the build up there, Dave. It's good to see you once again. It's a pleasure seeing you. I think I've seen more of you this past week than I have my other half. Not that I'm complaining. I know we were last on Friday's boy band show with Craig and Colin, but obviously just their two selves. But I'm definitely sure we could probably turn in a Darryl Hall and John Holtz-esque performance and give the viewers make their dreams come true by talking all things Scottish football.
There's a picture of you in my mind. And there's plenty of pictures that we need to go and speak about tonight. And in particular, Ryan Porteous penalty incident. It's creating a lot of debate, right? Two angles to this, right? The first angle is very much the angle which a lot of people have seen on Twitter with regards to he's colliding in the penalty area and people think Ryan Kent is what died. There's another one that thinks it's a snowball penalty. There's two different debates to this.
Definitely. There is two debates to it, and again, obviously, I'm probably like yourself when the group chats are all going off in terms of penalty, non-penalty. For me, on first glance, when I've looked at it, you think in the context, 85th minute of the game, Ryan Porteous has probably been Hibs' arguably best player. He's kept Morelos quiet. Morelos has went off. He stood his ground, and then sort of straight away, you kind of thought, "Oh, what's he doing here?" And then for me, I think obviously John Beaton's seen it in the moment and gave a penalty. I think on first glance, I thought it's kind of potentially harsh, but I can see why it's given. And then on the angle from behind the goal, you could see straight away for me it was a penalty. I think it was a penalty. I don't know what's your thoughts in terms of the whole debate.
Before I start, was Mr. Leach not on this fine Thursday evening? Instead of calling us Robson and Jerome, he could be on discussing how Porteous has given away a penalty last night. But my overall opinion on last night is basically that I thought it was a penalty, but also Porteous, again, is the cause of his own misdemeanours. Because, I mean, yet again against Rangers, he's his own victim. I mean, Porteous is a good defender. He's not exactly a defender that's going to be excellent for Hibs, but he is a player that will go and do it. Will go put in a good performance. Now, in terms of defensive exploitation, he can be found out, but also he has gave Hibs points over this season, and indeed he had a good performance in the Cup semi-final against the Rangers as well, just 11 days ago there. So he has the capabilities of having a good performance, but last night it's another cause of misdemeanours from the big man.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm probably one of the sort of rare Hearts fans actually quite like Ryan Porteous as a player. Again, he's kind of from the same area as me. That's nothing to do with it. He's a local lad, do well. But I think in terms of his raw abilities and attributes, I mean, I've seen him ages ago playing at 17 years old, and it was at Edinburgh City, and sort of would have been the East of Scotland League at the time, and obviously going to League Two. He's kind of came for a hard schooling, so he likes the rough and tumble of, you've seen those leagues yourself, the physical battle, and that's always been something he's never shirked away from. And obviously last night he was giving it with Morelos. It was almost, it is pantomime season, of course, in December in Scotland, and it was pantomime season on the pitch because Morelos and Porteous were pulling each other left, right, and centre. And there was one moment as well where he's obviously incandescent, never got a free kick in the first half, but obviously Hibs were on the attack, you know what I mean? So it was just plays up to the gallery a little bit. For me, I think Porteous would be better down south. I think in terms of his abilities, I think because he's now sort of been branded as this sort of player that hates Rangers with chip on his shoulder and sort of lets the raw emotion get to him, I think he'll always be targeted by referees as well. And when he's made that challenge again, I think because of what's went on as well, has that got something subliminally to do with John Beaton when he sees that? But again, in the moment, I would have said a penalty, and then kind of looking back and seeing the replays, I think it was, although I know people like our good friend Craig, the Hibs fan, might disagree.
Absolutely. So, I was being a bit polite towards Porteous there. Porteous was, sorry, I meant I was a bit brutal towards Porteous. I must say, I was being a bit honest there. Anyway, Porteous was outstanding last night from Craig. The issue was Kent getting by McGinn, I'm assuming. McGinn, obviously. And Karen with ease, tried to pull out, but was just too late. But 3 wins out of 3 for Van Bronckhorst in his tenure as Rangers manager. Very good start from the Dutchman.
It couldn't have went any better for him, I think, in terms of getting back into Scottish football. He was here. I know people have said they know Scottish football, but that was 20 years ago, and a lot has changed in that time. Obviously, the standard of the league, some will say has regressed, some will say has got better in terms of for fans, but, I think he's acclimatised himself back into the league's duties as well, and 3 wins from 3. Obviously, they're playing Dundee at home next. Again, good chance to have 4 from 4. And, again, we talk about this part of the season being the business end, where you want to pick up wins and certainly be on top before the league breaks up for winter. So, I mean, it's definitely pleased. And I think in terms of performances, first half I don't think was by any means classic for Rangers or for Hibs, but I think one of the things for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst that I'll be really pleased with is Calvin Bassey, coming in playing centre half there. I thought he was arguably the man of the match as well. I think for someone who's naturally or supposedly a left back as well, he's came in there and I thought he done really well against a tricky customer and Martin Boyle, who we've seen a few weeks ago what he done to that Rangers defence.
I think we're seeing last night that this was going to be a different game altogether to the semi-final 11 days ago, and so it proved to be. But for Jack Ross, is there things to worry about, do you feel?
Yes, I think he still has to be cautious, obviously, of where he's going with the team. I think midfield, I know obviously Joe Newell and Dales Hayes played. I think there was maybe contention whether Joe Newell was kind of preoccupied with stuff off the pitch. Again, I think maybe last night it showed a little bit for him. And then I think as well, it's now getting both Nisbet and Doidge and Boyle. I don't think all 3 can be in the same team. I think all 3 would expect to start. But I think he just needs to understand what's going to be his pairing. I think we've seen Hibs have really missed Doidge since he's been out. Nisbet, again, has not really been hitting the heights of obviously his first season. Again, I think when we were on a pod with Craig last week, he was saying that he's been totally almost disinterested, well, not disinterested, but out of sorts since last January. So it's almost been a year since he's not really been the striker he's capable of being, although he's been in Scotland squads since then. I think for Jack Ross, it's, the next 2 games for Hibs fans, obviously they're Motherwell at home next, and then away to St Mirren to play them. They'll be looking for 6 points. Is it Livingston? Sorry. Apologies. Livingston. They'll be looking for 6 points, but whether or not they get it, I mean, this is a sort of it's interesting for Jack Ross. I think as well last night, I have to chuckle at his comments going back to the penalty where I don't know if you've read it yourself, but he's saying, I think, I'll give you exact quotes actually to not do him any disservice, talking about the penalty. I think it's one we would want in the opposition box, but that doesn't mean it's a penalty. At the time, I had no idea. Now I've watched it back and Ryan pulls his foot away. There's minimal contact. It's a 50-50. Sometimes they're given, sometimes they're not. And we'd argue the case for it not to be given naturally. I don't think we deserved that, or Ryan deserved it for his performance as well. So, I mean, that's what comments as well. Obviously, that's about the penalty. But I do think their comments from a manager under pressure a little bit in terms of not maybe necessarily from the media, but maybe from his own standards as well. That's obviously only 1 victory from the last 5. Again, he has got a cup final to look forward to as well, but Hibs fans will be expecting them, as I said, to be picking up full points over the next couple of games and lead up to build some momentum, build some form, get a team that they can kind of have together as well for the final. So I think pressure's on for Ross as well. What do you think in terms of the lessons learnt for Jack Ross or Giovanni Van Bronckhorst?
I think for Ross, he's under pressure from Hibs fans, and see, being honest with you, Greg, I thought about this for a while. Why is he under pressure considering reaching a cup final? The fact that Hibs have done well and things like that. But looking at it in whole reflection, I can understand why Hibs fans are getting unhappy, because there is a reliance on Martin Boyle and there is a reliance on probably Deutsch, especially when Nisbet doesn't perform at the level that he does. He scored a good goal at the weekend at St Johnstone, but apart from that, he's a very little of late. So I can understand where Hibs fans are coming from in that regard. Defeats such as last night don't help. And I think this is a big week coming up for Jack Ross. But for a fan, Broncos, a big win. And it won't be an easy game. We hope with Dundee on Saturday. Dundee, 2 wins and a bounce. And that's the end of the Rangers conversation. And next up, we'll go to Dens Park, because I was there. Dundee 1, St Johnstone 0. I thought Dundee were superb last night, Greg.
Yeah, you were there in attendance. Obviously, it was Danny Mullen again getting the winner. Obviously, it's is that 3 from 3 from Danny Mullen as well.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Didn't he say 3 and 3? So he's a striker on form. What did you make of the performance for the Dens Park side?
Yeah, like I say, I thought they were fantastic. In the midfield, they played midfield. Well, they played midfield 5, right? But I thought McCowan and McMullen, I'm being a bit tactical here, by the way. I thought McCowan and McMullen were very good, offered a lot of width. I mean, Sean Rooney, he played at right centre half. And
I was going to come to that.
For Rooney. And McCowan was getting so much space. McCowan wasn't, I don't think he was man of the match, but he replicated the fine performance that he delivered on Saturday when they beat Motherwell by 3-0. But also Charlie Adam and Paul McGowan. The latter in particular, I thought the latter was brilliant until he got taken off. But also defensively as well. Liam Fontaine and Ryan Sweeney did very well defensively. But I was making a point to somebody today on our group chat, not the State Scottish Football group chat I had, but another group chat about Mark Sanderson and the part he plays. When Dundee get beat 5-0 by Ross County, Mark Sanderson didn't play that even in a question when they got mauled. And he came out back at the team after illness for the Saturday game with St Mirren, which they won 1-0. And Anderson was man of the match in that game night in question. Now, I'm not saying last night was down to Mark Sanderson, but what you're seeing from the Dundee midfield and Mark Sanderson has evolved is you've seen a pivotal figure, a player that wants to drive on forward, but also you've got Adam and McGowan that will do not the dirty work, but they'll do the laboured work, which probably helps that team massively. But Arthur St Johnstone, that's them without a winning 4 now, and a huge, huge worry for them.
Yeah, I mean, touching on Dundee as well, I think you're kind of right. Again, that's sort of thing I was picking up. I think last season as well, when they were in the Championship alongside Hearts, kind of seen a bit more of them. I know there was a real, obviously McMullen came in the January window, and obviously Dundee had no width at all. I remember they came to Tynecastle for the first game of the season. It was almost like a team of centre midfielders. So obviously he's probably taken time. McCowan came over the summer. And he's now got, McMullen, like 6 assists this season as well for Dundee. He's in good form. You've got him one side, McCowan another, who's now probably adjusted to life in the top flight. And then obviously was that conundrum in the midfield as well in terms of who do you play with Charlie Adam? You can't. Again, I don't think Charlie Adam can play as a 2. So that, again, obviously they've signed Cummins, they've got Sheridan, and they signed Griffiths as well, the guys that got the big fanfare. But in terms of getting the best at Charlie Adam, you have to have midfield 3. I think McGowan plays as well, because obviously kind of length of service and kind of know he's a good player for this level. Although again his legs have passed him. I know there was a sort of fear when Jordan McGee's been ruled out injured as well, in terms of because he's sort of been converted from that centre back, right back, where he's sort of played for Falkirk and Hearts over the years, into that sort of destructive midfielder. But Max Anderson, as you said, is the legs there that will get them forward. And I think having that sort of functioning team and having a sort of formation, which I think the players seem comfortable with as well, and obviously Danny Mullen on form, which is great. So I think it does bode well for James McPake, who probably a few games ago was under pressure, under fire after that final home defeat against Ross County. So again, it shows you how quickly things can turn around in football, where 3 games ago where fans would have been probably happy for him to see the door. Now, obviously, with his new suit, maybe is that good luck you've kind of bestowed upon him in terms of your conversation when you spoke with James McPake the other day. But sort of had an effect.
He wore a suit last night. He wore a suit last night. It's good. In terms of going for St Johnstone, I think,
it's one of the things you mentioned as well in terms of where do they go from here. I think looking at the lineups as well, Sean Rooney playing that right centre half role. Again, I don't think suits him. Again, it's probably fair to say a year ago he wasn't even the team at St Johnstone. It was Danny McNamara that was on loan from Millwall, and obviously Sean Rooney came in the second half of the season and another storming season, obviously involved in 2 cup wins, and I think he scored in both finals as well, and he was an integral part within that, and that rampage and right back as well, which again some fans even talked about a Scotland call up. So I know Callum Davidson's maybe thinking, you know what, I'll try and get guys that have been here, because he's tried obviously Efe Ambrose, he's tried the Dendenacker as well. He's probably thinking for continuity, try and get us a bit more stability there, or play guys that kind of know each other. I don't think that's what you're kind of nullifying one of your main attacking outlets. Again, I think I said as well in terms of the lateness, in terms of the summer business, in terms of both Alan McCann and Jason Kerr leaving very last minute as well. I think that's probably had an effect on the team as well, one of which obviously being your captain leaving as well. And I think for St Johnstone it's now a really sobering reality, from last probably 7 months ago, when you're top on a crest of a wave, thinking you've won both cups and really going for it. I mean, Callum Davison needs to have a good few games and get to January, because I think it needs to strengthen throughout. I don't know, what's your thoughts on the St Johnstone team and going forward for the next couple of months?
Well, I'll go through it positions. Xander Clark's sorts itself out, but obviously he's out of contract in the season, so that could be right in the water if Xander Clark decides to go and leave. I think this is a big month for December for St Johnstone coming up, based on the fact that Xander Clark is free to speak to any club after the new year. So that, first and foremost. Defensively, Efe Ambrose, I think, needs to come into Rooney's position. I think he would do a much better job in terms of that adaptation, in terms of that system, in that position Rooney was in last night. Ambrose would probably have been able to deal with both McCowan and Mullen in that specific area. So there was that. Also, I look at this by also saying that I think McCart and Gordon works, but they need to be a 2 instead of a 3. So there's that. Booth, he's normally a wider, bigger player, so I can understand why they play Booth on the wing. Davidson, McPherson, and Crawford, should I say, they are really good midfielders, but I'll be honest with saying, and you're right, McPherson and Crawford aren't the quality of McCann. And I think that's where St Johnstone are hurt just now. The fact that they don't have a creative midfielder to rely on in the absence of Ali McCann. And also, and also Vertinen. I thought Vertinen did well last night. He was probably the best player for me in a Saint shirt last night. And O'Halloran does his job, but I'd like to see O'Halloran. Funnily enough, I've always been divided on this. I'd like to see O'Halloran played in the wing rather than the attack midfield. Davidson played a 3-4-2-1 last night, which they probably have been playing the last few games, but it didn't work last night. That's for sure. And also, I think the multi-million pound deal that they need to go and get in January is a striker. Chris Kane will not score you goals to try and get you into a European spot, which was ultimately St Johnstone's external ambition at the start of the season. And they haven't done that. I mean, Stevie May can score goals. He has already. Chris Kane did well at St Johnstone, the corresponding picture against Dundee. But apart from that, you're not going to get a striker bargain form. You often find in this league that if you get a striker that's bargain form, scoring goals for you, you'll often be in the top 6 or indeed vying for European slots. You've seen that way in Boys at Hearts, to an extent, Dundee United, including other attack-minded players at that club as well.
Yeah,
Boyle and Doidge as well. So if you've got the reliance on strikers scoring goals, it does your club or it does your team the confidence to all the good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that assessment as well. I think in terms of, like, for me, I think a back 3 does suit St Johnstone as well. I think it is just trying to get someone in for that, obviously for Rooney coming further forward, and then again, probably getting someone in the middle of the pitch. I think we'll talk about the Livingston game later. I think that's another team that needs to strengthen the middle of the pitch. But Chris Kane's more of a foil man for a striker. I think obviously worked well last season with Guy Melamed as well, who again kind of went under the radar a little bit for that St Johnstone team, but always kind of effective off the bench and played in a few games as well. But I think they need to get someone in, but you'll need to see if Cam Davis can use his contact book and get someone on loan from maybe down south, or even look at kind of what kind of guys are in the Scottish League as well. Maybe mentioned Dundee now and a bit of surplus of strikers with Danny Mullen being the preferred man and quite rightly the number 9 for Dundee moving forward. I mean, potentially might see someone there moving across Tayside there. You never know in Scottish football.
Well, that was the point I was going to make. Danny Mullen playing up front is a good thing from Dundee's point of view. But I think if I'm Wade Griffiths or Jason Cummins, I'd be furious right now.
Mm-hmm. You can see it. They've obviously came in there and they've had the belief that they will be the main men, probably them two cells, and at times thinking with Cillian Sheridan as well that Cillian Sheridan, where you're thinking that between those three, 2 will start, 1 will come off the bench, and then you're actually thinking Danny Mullen could have actually left the club. But I think obviously he's kept them around because obviously you forget Alex Kubiak, I think you were saying as well the other week, is injured, and so I mean potentially he was even 5th choice at the start of the season when all these guys came in. But for me, Griffiths, I think in terms of, I know we've got our other podcasters here that are on the Celtic state of mind. I've talked Griffiths for many a time. For me, I don't think he's the same player he was 2 seasons ago, which is a sad regression of such a talent. Again, obviously he's had kind of off-field troubles to seek as well and resolve, which he's had to contend with that. But I think in terms of his abilities on the pitch, I mean he's the bottle, the kicking, the flare incident and stuff as well. It's just he's kind of now more famous for stuff he writes on the back pages, also the front pages, than he does getting goals on the back pages. And then for me, Jason Cummins as well. Again, he's kind of got that devilment as well, which seems to kind of befall him most sort of Hibs strikers growing up as a Hearts fan. He's never really cut it in the top league for me as well. I know obviously he scored that his kind of breakthrough season at Hibs when they were relegated along with Hearts, and then the season after under obviously Neil Lennon as well, that after Stubbs left and Neil Lennon came in for a bit, but he's never really done it. Had a spell at Rangers, of course, but again, never really was in a better team that were going to get more chances. But for me, the jury's still out on Jason Cummins as a top flight, top sort of striker. So I know he's kind of has his fans and followers for obviously maybe again more off-field stuff. But I think Danny Mullen is kind of who Dundee should build their team around for the rest of the season. And but those two, there are going to be on a pretty wage packet as well, I would imagine. I don't think they're going to be on buttons. So I mean, it may be something that James McPake has to take a hard call and say, you know what, I need to terminate a loan deal. I need to, maybe even ship Cummins out as well, or Griffiths. I can't see him keeping the whole team happy as well, especially as we're saying, he may look to sort of strengthen as well in terms of other positions in the team, like for instance left back. I think Jordan Marshall as well as I don't know if was he playing last night as well for Dundee. I think he's okay, I think, but again I think he's someone that could get better quality there as well. And then as you said, they might just want to have a bit more depth, and obviously in case the sort of second half of the season, plus obviously if anything happens with COVID isolation, so that you kind of want to have a strong squad to lean on, which again is maybe why they would want to keep some of these strikers. But in terms of the money they're getting for the return, I don't think it's worth it for them.
Absolutely. Right, so up the A90 to Pittodrie, Aberdeen 2, Livingston 0. A very good victory this for Stephen Glass, but disappointment for Davy Martindale, especially losing Jackson Longridge to sending off.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk. It was actually quite a game of coincidence, to be fair, Dave. I think in terms of, we'll talk about the red card for Longridge. So obviously it was for 2 bookends for those viewers that haven't watched it yet. So the first one, the challenge. So look, obviously Jackson Longridge's challenge on Ojo again being involved in an incident in Scottish football, but again, he's not his fault again. But there was a challenge there that, again, watching it, for me, that could have been a red. Again, it's one of those where it was given the yellow card, but probably for me kind of falls in that amber region where you've seen referees give red cards, you've seen referees, obviously, he was given a booking last night. But for me, it's kind of one where the referees probably played it safe and went, book him. And then, obviously, second challenge, which was a foul on Ryan Hedges. Again, for me, it was probably just a foul, and then the referees booked him. But I think he's probably thinking back to that first incident where he thought, I could have set him off. His next foul, he's off. And obviously, you've probably heard David Martindale's comments after he was incandescent with that. I don't know, what's your view on the Longridge challenge?
Yeah, it was two challenges that were worth yellow cards respectively, but and major disappointment this for Livingston. But also, I did notice there was a nitty-gritty approach about Livingston throughout the whole game. Obviously, I was at Dennis Park, so I wasn't really able to keep too much notice on proceedings and scoring up Pittodrie, but I got a text through from my mate saying that Bruce Anderson was winding up David Bates. So Anderson being an ex-Pittodrie employee, I can maybe understand where that was coming from to an extent, but also very good victory for Aberdeen as well. I must say, I'm going to ask you this question in a brutal way. Nothing bad towards Stephen Glass here. But that's Stephen Glass's 9th win as Aberdeen manager last night. 3 of those that came against Livingston.
Yeah, I mean, not so long ago, obviously, I think probably this season Livingston haven't played as well. I think any other the last 2 seasons in the top flight 3 seasons, you'd be saying that's great to get 3 victories against Livingston. Again, at the end of the day, it's a clean sheet for Stephen Glass. Again, it's building on his defence. I know there's been question marks over Bates, who, funnily enough, scored his first goal for the club. Again, rather than also keeping a clean sheet at the back, is also helping contribute to goals at the other end as well. So you'd say it's a good night for him. But in terms, you can only, I feel like I'm talking a football and cliche, you can only beat the teams that are in front of you. Although Livingston, for me, again, kind of having watched some highlights of it back as well, I look at the team and, I can see what Martindale's trying to do. He's obviously going to a back three. It's kind of more of a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-4-3. And for me, when you look at the team and you analyse it, I think he's got Stefan Omiyonga and Holt in the middle. When you're up against Scott Brown, for example, a real physical player, they're 2 guys that aren't going to get in, stuck and do the dirty work. And again, I've seen that as well when Aberdeen have played Hearts, that when you've had Ferguson in there as well, they will get in, roll their sleeves up. And then obviously their wing backs as well, I think, are quite lightweight as well. I know it's kind of Nicky Devlin and was it Longridge as well? Anyway, I can't forget the other left back. It's Longridge. Of course, we've got sent off. Longridge, and then you've kind of got the front 3 as well, which you said Bruce Anderson, and they've got
Bailey Forrest.
Yeah, Bailey, and as I said, or as Regan calls him, Alan Forrest, for your brother, and Alan Forrest. I mean, you look at that team, and again, five of that are under 5'9". So from what you know as Livingston, as agricultural, physical team, you go there to the Tony Macaroni Stadium, they get up and at you, it's a physical game. It's not a physical side. I mean, he's got a back 3, as said, Ayobelai is kind of playing at the heart of that, who, again, questionably last season for Queens, couldn't cope with the physical nature of the Championship, couldn't cope in a defence, so he got played to the midfield. I mean, I think that kind of says it all. And again, he probably doesn't trust Parks to play centre half just then and Fitzwater together as a 2. So, I mean, for me, Livingston actually are in a lot of bother, especially when he said probably early September they're in a relegation battle. Probably going to ask you this: do you think psychologically then, as a player, if you're told sort of 3-4 games of the season, we're going to be in a relegation battle, we're going to struggle, compared to the season you had last season when you're reaching cup finals, do you think that has an effect on the players?
I think it's a mentality problem first and foremost. Because I mean, if you're telling your players that you're in a relegation battle in September when you've still got a long way to go in the season, it tells me the mentality is wrong at that club. I mean, Martindale got off to a terrific start in his tenure as Livingston Boston. And let's not forget here, last night was his 50th game in charge of Livingston, so well done to Martindale for all that. But also, on the other side, we'll look at this by saying that as much as he got off to a good start, it's kind of jaded after that League Cup final defeat against St Johnstone, and then things just haven't really materialised ever since. A good top six finish last season, but it's quickly dwindled. And let's not beat around the bush here. Livingston do have a couple of the lowest points in the league, but also on the other side to this, they are a side that could be more competitive, and yeah, they've had some poor results, but also they have had a bit of a resurgence until recently as well. And by the way, I forgot to tidy up this afternoon in the Playboy Mansion because I went to sleep before coming on the show, got about 20 to 6, ready to go on and speak to the state of Scottish football with Mr. Greg Playfair. So half an hour in, and we're off to a great start. Greg.
You're doing well despite the time delay in LA at that mansion. You know, fair play to you for getting up. Was it 8 hours behind the hour? But I mean, going back to obviously Livingston, I think it seems daft, right? When you think back to a moment in football, right, that kind of, you know, like a good goal or a match that you remember, right? I probably think since they played Marvin Bartley at left wing back, it's like one of those moments that Livingston's have just went on a downward spiral ever since. And even then, I know Marvin Bartley's now the assistant manager at Livingston. He's not playing, but I think even missing him in the middle of the pitch as well. I know Hibs had let him go because they felt his legs are gone, and it's kind of shown it a couple of seasons at Livingston when he signed that, you know, he's definitely still had a lot to offer. And I still think they're missing that kind of midfield presence again. I don't know if he's got injuries or age has caught up with him, and again, probably now that he's rolled dictates that he probably can't train as much as he would like as well. But I mean, for me, even someone like Oberlai, I would be putting in the middle of the pitch as well, maybe going to a back four to change it up rather than this three. And I think as well that will really stabilise the team as well moving forward. But talking to like Livingston, obviously was the next Livingston player playing for Aberdeen last night in the Jet. Okay. I need to get your take on this. What do you think about players having short sleeves and gloves?
Oh, okay. I was expecting a completely different question to this. Right, yeah, not in agreement. If you're going to wear gloves, long sleeve top. If you're not going to wear gloves, then it's not mandatory what you wear, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say I think your question you're expecting. Obviously, Jet came back at the team last night. What do you make of his time since signing from Livingston? What do you think he's brought to Aberdeen?
Flair, creativity. His brother signed for Higher League Club Huntly. They're both cult heroes in the Scrat City, but for some odd reason. But no, with regards to Jet, he's started okay, not excellently by any stretch of imagination. He has been in the bench in some games. Some games justified probably because of either poor performances on the pitch or poor performances in training that we're maybe not aware of. But I mean, part from Jet's point of view, he started off really well, but they kind of dwindled a wee bit after that, and that's the thing. He came to the team last night. I don't know how he got on overall, but by all accounts, he wasn't exactly impressive. But for Jet, he's probably playing the wrong position as far as I'm concerned. I would have him in as up front with Menezes. Now, the $1 million question to that is, do you think two up front's the best option here? I don't think it is. But then, the same token, I don't think Jet is a number 10.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's someone I think who obviously he was at Livingston last season. It's someone who they're crying out for. He was obviously signed as a replacement for Anthony Stokes, and again on the back of Lyndon Dykes. I think with Livingston's style is again, you know, a big aggressive frontman who they've not had for the last couple of seasons. I kind of could see him playing that role there at Aberdeen. Although, as I said, talking about that cup final, I was expecting him to play left wing back instead of Marvin Bartley, but he's obviously someone who, again, I know Stephen Glass has sort of been not criticised. I don't know, maybe under scrutiny is maybe the word for his signings. Guys like Jack Gurr, for example, coming in. Along with that, obviously, he's got like Scott Brown in as well, and Lexi Bates. But obviously, Watkins was injured last night. How crucial do you think he is to this Aberdeen team at the moment?
Did you just say Watkins was injured last night?
Yeah, injury. Just talking about injury.
I was going to say started the game, but came off.
Yeah, came off injured. Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say, just keeping you on your toes here, Greg. I mean, he's been a good player for Aberdeen. Maybe not hit the heights that he did the first time around, if I'm going to be honest, but also he's a really good player for it in terms of the system that Aberdeen are currently implementing, and it is a huge loss him getting off injured. But also, we've also got good players that can come in and replace Aaron Samuels. I'd like to see a bit more from him, if I'm going to be honest with you. Again, there's always a goal or two in him, despite him getting on a bit in his age. McLennan, he doesn't exactly come across as a player that is excellent or fantastic from an Aberdeen fan point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he is a player that he could always be relied upon. He came on last night, obviously. There's a lot of options there, but that's the thing with Aberdeen. Maybe their Achilles heel, even perhaps. They do have Ramirez, but they don't have too much striking options, if I'm going to be honest with you. And just to look at Livingston here, one player that maybe could have came back into the fold last night instead of the players you mentioned in the midfield area is Shinnie and Sibbald.
Yeah, I mean those guys have obviously played well. I think Scott Pittman, I think he's injured at the moment. Again, he's someone who's really been impressive. He's been part of obviously Livingston's success coming up from the Championship. I think he's always in League One team as well. So he's someone who really puts a graft in and really, I suppose, does the unfashionable, the dirty work. And I think that was missing. You think you've got Jason Holt and Omionga who can play deeper as well, but aren't going to roll their sleeves up and, as I said, get into a one-on-one tussle with Scott Brown. I mean, it's Scott Brown could be on crutches and play against those two, and still be more physical and get in there against them. So, I mean, we'll be interested to see how they get on. Again, Aberdeen play St Mirren in the next game at home, I believe, is it?
Yes, aye.
So it probably gives a nice wee segue to St Mirren, our last game from last night, where it was St Mirren 0, Ross County 0.
Where is Jeffrey the Butler? Jeffrey the Butler is away getting supper right now. So, Greg, continue.
Jeffrey the Butler, as I said, it's wacky over in LA this time in the morning over there for you. But for me, 0-0. St Mirren had 25 shots on goal last night, 11 on target. Drawn 0-0 with Ross County. What's your thoughts in terms of that St Mirren? Ross County, do you think they will be relieved taking a point away from that? St Mirren ruin their chances?
It seemed like Ross County were happy with a point away from home, yeah. Maybe a disappointment not getting free, but I mean, it's a big game for them. Big games keep on coming. Sorry, they've got St last night, they've got St Johnstone away on Saturday, they've got Dundee at home the following Saturday. It's a big few weeks coming up for Ross County, and yeah, there'll be disappointment not winning the game, but also a good point and also a stage in the progression that they're currently occupying, because I mean, they are coming a more moulded team now compared to where they were at the start of the season. So a good point for them, but also from a St Mirren persuasion, massive frustration in terms of dropping another 2 points, because I mean, the draw specialist this season is St Mirren. They love a draw. I mean,
8 draws, 8 draws from 16.
Yeah, me and a group of mates were at the Johnson St Mirren game, and we shouldn't have bothered, to be honest, because it wasn't a great game. There was a game with very little chances, and let's just say we didn't do our homework. It was a day off for myself personally.
Not like you, Dave, not doing your homework and doing your prep. It's not like you.
Yeah, well, exactly. Let's be honest. We thought there'd be 3 goals perhaps in this game, and also it was the halfway tour, but St Johnstone St Mirren disappointed us altogether. But back on to the last night's game, and I mean, if St Mirren are winning top 6 aspirations, they need to start winning more games than they are drawn. And that sounds very silly to say, but St Mirren, that is St Mirren's Achilles heel right now. The fact that they are drawing games where they're organised defensively, but they are lacking a goal scorer.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that in terms of obviously St Mirren's position in the league. They are 17 points on 8th, obviously just behind Aberdeen 7th, who obviously 18 points, and Hibs have got same number of points but 2 games in hand. Should should St Mirren be having aspirations looking forwards in terms of thinking, we could probably catch out Motherwell, Hibs, Aberdeen, or again results like last night against Ross County where they get a point from it? Could they be seeing them as a sort of a rival towards the bottom end of the league? Where does Jim Goodwin look and focus his attention? Is it the trap door, or is it trying to get to the top 6?
There's a range of questions to this. I mean, there is a reliability of Jamie McGrath. I mean, he's been carrying an injury, and he didn't play last night, but obviously didn't score. But also you've got Dennis and Brophy up front, and Dennis hasn't really hit the ground running at St Mirren yet, whilst Brophy, it probably just hasn't worked for him at St Mirren so far after the heights of Kilmarnock. But also, St Mirren have a good nucleus of a team. They've got Tanzer on the left. Left. They've got Power and Ronan in the middle. I'm a big fan of Ronan. He started the season very well at St Mirren. Also scored a good goal against Rangers very recently. They've also got McAllister that can go and do a job. And then this is where they're successful and positive right now. They've got a good. We were speaking about Johnson now in the show, and the fact that they're not getting their three at the back right just now. But I think St Mirren they've got Tate, Dunn, and Fraser, who probably form a really good organisation, a really good partnership at this precise moment in time. And Jack Almond, we've seen it at the weekend, we've seen it various times already this season. He's came out with some big saves for St Mirren, and has probably been a pivotal figure in the why St Mirren have picked up some points, maybe not 3 points, but picked up points. So yeah, there's a lot of positives in that St Mirren team, but I think the headache for Jim Goodwin is getting more goals in this team. They've also got Greg Kilty and Curtis Main, so that's going to be the worry for and the frustration for Jim Goodwin. Where does he get goals from? And that's the $1 million question surrounding Jim Goodwin's head right now. Whether he was a sleep over it, we don't know.
Yeah, no, I think all that's fair. I think looking at it seems to always talk about this every January that need to get a striker to pull them up the leagues to avoid that trap door. I think Brophy, you're saying, hasn't really hit the heights as what was expected, but they do have a good nucleus. Obviously, you mentioned as well, Conor McCarthy not being there is a good foundation to build your defence upon. I would expect McGrath to go in January. Again, given the fact he's now a sort of starter for the Republic of Ireland national side. Again, he's someone that, again, I don't think Celtic, wouldn't do bad by sort of making an offer for him. Someone that the Scottish League could come in. I'm not saying he'd be a starter, but probably a good acquisition potentially as well as like an option to Rogic. But I think he'll get money reinvested in the squad. So I do think he will have enough, because I think obviously when he first came in after the disastrous Alan Stubbs era, it took a while for him to get his right squad in as well, and he's done well in signing sort of proven Premiership players for the Scottish League. So I do think they will have enough to kind of keep above the trapdoor of the relegation and the 11th place as well. But Ross County, I think, as well, who, again, coming into it, when you've got Livingston and St Johnstone in poor form, I think this could be slipping away in terms of having a mini-league between the three, especially if Dundee can get that together as well.
Absolutely. Right, it's nearly time for Emmerdale, and most importantly, this Celtic team has been named. So let's have a look. We've got Celtic, Hart, Ralston, Starfelt, Welsh, Juranovic, McGregor, Turnbull, Forrest, Rogic, Jota, and Kyogo. The bench is Bain, Beaton, Ayeti, Abada, McCarthy, Johnson, and Montgomery. Greg, before I get the Hearts team, your reaction?
Yeah, Kenny, it's what we expected there in terms of from the Celtic team. Did you say there's no McCarthy? McCarthy's not playing, no? Yeah. I mean, Rogic coming back in, we kind of expected that as well. He does usually play well against Hearts. Again, when Kyogo's last played against Hearts. He was playing on the left side of a three with Edward up top. He's up top tonight as well. So I mean, again, in terms of what Celtic fans are looking for, I think this is kind of a strong attacking lineup is what you would come to expect against Hearts with our amazing record at Celtic Park. I'll give you a stat before we get into the team. Do you know who was last number one in the charts in the UK when Hearts won in a league game at Celtic Park?
Oasis or is it Savage somebody?
It's 2007. Hearts won 3-1 on the 28th April 2007, and the UK number one was Nelly Furtado with "Give It to Me."
Not
Not that one, I'm afraid. "Give It to Me," and I know there's fans wanting to hear the Hearts team, and I've just sort of been sent it as well. So, Hearts team lines up with Craig Gordon in goals. We have what appears to be a back four with Michael Smith, John Suter, Craig Halkett and Stephen Kingsley. It appears we have a midfield three of Peter Haran, Aaron McInnes coming in, and Cammy Devlin, and a forward three of Ginnelly, Josh Ginnelly, Barry Mackay, and then as a false nine, Ben Woodburn. He's dropped Liam Boyce.
That's an interesting gamble from Robbie Nielsen, not dropping Liam Boyce. I mean, it's a good team out there. I mean, you've got a lot of athleticism, a lot of stamina in that midfield area, but also defensively, they look set up with Smith, Kingsley, Suter, and Heron. Harring's, is it Haring? Aye.
Yeah, Peter Haring, yep.
Right, aye. I wasn't sure how to pronounce that correctly there, but also good team there. Halkett as well in there tonight as well. I'm surprised he's put Mackay, Stephen, and Boyce on the bench, but no, good team overall. Pardon me. And on the topic of referees, I may add, by the way, that I thought Andrew Dallas probably had a good game last night. I'm seeing a lot of comments about Bobby Madden and Job Beaton. I would like to add, I don't think Andrew Dallas put a foot wrong last night, which is surprising.
I mean, referees do get a bad rap at times, and obviously you have to have a bit of empathy for them as well, because you do think, who would want to be a referee in terms of every decision you make, someone's going to be unhappy with it either way. But yeah, in terms of the performance, obviously tonight's referees, Bobby Madden, of course, in. Again, I don't know if you follow him on social media on Instagram, but he was in charge of a Greek derby last week, POK Pauk versus Aris, and the match got abandoned, and there was or stopped for a bit. It was flares. It looked absolutely mental. So I don't know if Celtic Park's going to be like this as well. I don't know if the Green Brigade have got anything planned like that. But yeah, it could be another bit of an atmosphere for Bobby Madden tonight.
I can just imagine the sun headline tomorrow morning.
Yeah, from Greece to Celtic Park, both difficult venues to referee in. But I mean, yeah, listen, tonight you don't hope that the referee is talked about for any stretch of the imagination in terms of decision which aggrieves Hearts fans or Celtic fans. Again, you do hope in the best world that they're invisible. Again, some referees can let games flow, some don't, but you're hoping that kind of happens tonight. I think in terms of Hearts' game plan tonight, we'd maybe need Bobby Madden in terms of recent record. But I mean, it certainly looks like a team we're going to set up for the counter. As I said, it's a woeful record for Hearts in Glasgow, well, especially at Celtic Park. I mean, obviously in the League Cup game there where it was 3-2, which was never a 3-2 game, and then probably comments coming in saying, Greg, you're absolutely right. It could have been 5-0 at half time, and it probably should have been. So I think it looks like Nielsen is kind of going to go for a counter-attack, try and soak it up and take it. But I mean, I was quite disappointed because, you know, I think when obviously Craig Levein was Hearts manager and Hearts managed to beat Celtic 4-0 2017 when we had obviously Kyle Lafferty and the like starting, he had said he had studied Celtic's form in Europe, in European competition, because it feels like when teams usually go to Celtic Park out with Rangers, teams go there to defend, and Livingston had a 5-4-1 there the other week when they got their point. I kind of thought Nielsen might have done similar. That could be the game plan as well, in terms of get Celtic in and hit them on the counter with Mackay, with Ginnelly, who again have pace to burn. Ben Woodburn as well is probably someone that, when it comes from 30 yards from goal, can ping and get on target. So it looks like he probably has done his research there in that regard. But I mean, it's one of those. I'm probably going to downplay Hearts' chances for the next 10 minutes, and then I'm going to tell you Hearts can get their first League One in since 2007. But I don't know. How do you see this one going tonight?
I mean, as somebody touched upon in the comments, Hearts are a hot and cold team right now. I mean, they had the defeat against Motherwell, but also the very good response by beating St Mirren at the weekend. The other side are hot and cold at the minute. They haven't repeated the consistency that they had at the start of the season, which got them a lot of success. I mean, it'll be a hard game for them tonight. I mean, but then Celtic will get Hearts and say that'll be a hard game for them. I mean, Ange Postecoglou will look at this and say it's another big game. It's a big week coming up for Celtic. Obviously, Europa League football needs to be certain next week. I was away to say during the extra Europa League, I was away to get slaughtered if I said that. So, yes, tonight is the start of a big week for Celtic Football Club. Yes, it's Hearts tonight, Dundee away on Sunday, and then Europa League on Thursday. So it is a big week, and the big week starts tonight. And Postecoglou needs a big performance tonight in order to go and pick up the win. But also, I think there'll be a source of revenge in his mind. He won't admit it externally, but I think internally he won't admit it. He'll admit internally that he'll want a response from the Tynecastle beating at the start of the season. But also, probably on the same token, I also look at this by saying that Celtic are a completely different animal of fish from that game in Tynecastle back in August. So it has the makings of being an interesting game this evening.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, going into this as well, the mad thing for me is if Hearts got a win somehow, they'd go above Celtic in the league table. So I don't think it can be downplayed in terms of how Hearts have coped this season. I think, growing up as a Hearts supporter, I've always been used to Hearts kind of having a poor away form at times. We've kind of went to Tannadice in one, we've went to St Mirren in one, but again, we've kind of followed up with performances at Aberdeen and obviously Motherwell, where we're kind of not coming out with anything. But that being said, it's only been our 2 defeats of the season. We're unbeaten at Tynecastle, which again is what we need to do to try and propel us up, and if we've got any aspirations of being a top 4 side. But the thing for me, and this is where Hearts fans will, again, probably some of my friends that were watching this, is Robbie Nielsen's not judged in terms of the results, in terms of how he sets the team up. Well, he is judged in terms of how he sets the team up, because if Hearts get beat 2-0, but Hearts go and attack, and Hearts have maybe played Liam Boyce, and Hearts are trying to compete against Celtic. That's if the team's set up for a bit of an attacking game plan. It seems like it is tonight. But I think it's when Hearts go there and have insipid performances, like probably the first half of the League Cup game as well, where that's where, I know obviously Glenn had said the other week, and they'd mentioned around Robin Nielsen having detractors. I mean, the only time you usually hear of detractors for Nielsen is when we play Celtic, Rangers or Hibs, and it's when he kind of goes a bit more cautious. So by all means, it'll be an intriguing game tonight, and as I said, I'm hoping for a maroon tinted spectacles that it will be a game where we take something from.
That's the thing. It looks like a 4-3-3. Pace up front is good, but surely or probably Boyce could come in to hold up and bring us into play. But also, Adam Kennedy's came in on Twitter and says that he thinks Nielsen has an eye on Sunday. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, again, I said that as well. So again, whether managers admit to this publicly or not, again, you speak with them kind of in your other role, but they probably look at fixture calendars and they probably say 3 points here. We have to get a point from there. When Nielsen's looked at the calendar and he's looked at we're playing Celtic Park away, he's probably not in. We must go away with that with 1 point. We must go away with that 3 points. That's if they get anything from this, it's a free hit in terms of points. However, as a Hearts supporter, it doesn't matter whatever team you support within Scottish football, you always want your team to go there with an intent to win the game or intent to take something from it or have a bit of a game plan. Again, it seems the game plan is sucker the guys in, have a midfield battle. Obviously, he's going for 3 in the middle because obviously with the fullbacks coming in for Celtic as well and Juranovic and Ralston, it'll be a 4v3. Potentially Woodburn dropping in as well if he's playing as a false 9. Which again will leave Ginnelly out wide along with Barry Mackay taking a hit for the counter. I think that's the sort of game it could be for that. But yeah, talking about Sunday.
Yep, Dundee United have released a statement at 6 p.m. So great timing, Dundee United. Congratulations for that because it's within our time frame. So thanks very much for that. We can give you a State of Scottish Football exclusive. Following Dundee United's statement earlier this week regarding the Storm Arwen damage to Jerry Kert stand roof and having subsequently commissioned professional assessment of the damages, we have reluctantly taken this decision to close the Jerry Kert stand for Sunday's fixture versus Celtic due to ongoing safety concerns. Work has been ongoing since the weekend in an attempt to ensure the stand can be used by spectators, but due to the extent of the damage and concerns remaining regarding the risk to spectators, we have been advised by the structural engineering company in conjunction with Dundee City Council Building Standards to close the stand this week. Celtic supporters who have been allocated tickets in this stand will receive a full refund. Celtic Football Club will manage the refund process and will communicate directly with those supporters affected. To this end, we thank all the funded supporters for their understanding and state clearly they should not travel to Tardis for this game. Well, okay, yeah, good point. Move game to Dens. Potentially, but I don't think that would go down very well. Dundee folklore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like as a supporter, you kind of get very, very particular about your own team. You want to move it for advantage. Superstition and all this sort of stuff comes into it as well. I mean, I had seen reports earlier in the week that were talking around even potentially postponing the game, which again could have been a blessing. Celtic have got 13 games in the month of December, could have benefited from that. But I think in terms of the current form where we're at the moment, they want to play as many games as they can. They want to build up momentum. As I said, psychologically going into the winter break, going at top of Christmas, at top of the league, that does give you a massive boost. So, I mean, the way in which Celtic are playing at the moment, and again, hopefully they come a bit unstuck tonight. It's good for them. Obviously, for fans going there, it's a bit disappointing. I mean, I think it's 1,000 fans. I'm just reading as well that for Celtic's allocations cut by, which is unfortunate for them. But I mean, in terms of players on the pitch, you know, I think they will still to kind of rise to the occasion with the falling they'll get there from the Celtic fans.
Absolutely. By the way, you might not see on my phone, but no, you definitely will see my phone because I've also got a green screen on. So I was just trying to clarify the stand in question, which is indeed the main stand. So hope that doesn't affect my press accreditation for the weekend because that's where the press is. So here's hoping I don't have to be told by Dundee United that you can't
going in the way end, going in the way end, and
I'll just go in the way end. The old Celtic fans, when the State of Scottish Football Monday evening said, Celtic fans said this, Celtic fans said that.
You'll be invited on the Celtic State of Mind as well.
I'll be on the Tony Haggett Monday afternoon. But
oh. Don't know if he's still there, if it's me that's frozen. obviously the Playboy Mansion has had a bit of a power cut. Are you there?
Oh, sorry, Greg. Hello, sorry. Apologies for
It's
this.
all right.
End of the show, and this happens. Goodness gracious. It's just fancy
Yeah,
house. Wi-Fi.
it's that you can't get the staff these days. It'll be that butler of yours.
Exactly. But anyway, for William took a new manager. A man that's worked with Sean Maloney and Thierry Henry.
Yeah, I believe you've met. Obviously, if those that haven't seen Scottish football news in the last couple of days, there's a new man at the helm at Fort William. One of the roles that's probably deemed one of the toughest in the Scottish football pyramid. But you had the chance to speak to him today, didn't you?
Yeah, I spoke to him earlier on. I spoke to him for a good 10 minutes, actually. So the article's going out tonight, and I'm looking forward to telling the viewers all about it.
Yeah. When are you next on?
You will be next week. I'll be next week, yeah.
Next week. So as I said, for all the fans here, get a chance. Obviously, put the links in. Obviously, your Twitter and whatnot for the fans to have a wee read, and look forward to that. I'm back on tomorrow with the boy band. I think there's a few of us on again tomorrow, so looking forward to the predictions as well. And obviously, I might have to do a very happy podcast to give a review of the game, or very glum. So for all you Celtic fans in the comments, I'm pretty sure you'll be hoping that I will have tears on my face come tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Absolutely. That's all we've got time for, gents. Yet again, apologies for that the wee sabbatical that we had, but we'll blame the Wi-Fi for that. Nothing else. But from myself and Mr. Playfair, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you later.